So last week we had a little bit of whiplash. 1 minute the moratorium was gone, and then 2 days later the moratorium was back. So what is actually going on with this moratorium, and how does it affect you as a homeowner or as a landlord or somebody who is renting? Now, I downloaded the new CDC moratorium that was enacted on August 2nd, which basically replaced the old moratorium that ended on July 31st. And I have a few comments about this, and specifically what it is that I think is going to happen in the next couple months with this moratorium and with future CDC moratoriums. Now, there is a huge, massive eviction moratorium loophole in this newest CDC moratorium that a lot of people haven't realized is there, but basically takes away all the protections that people think they might have against evictions when they are being evicted for certain things. So we're going to talk about that in a second. I basically think that the eviction moratorium that has been enacted right now is basically meaningless unless your state has very specific protections. But if your state does not have any other protections, like in Florida, the eviction moratorium, in my opinion, has no bite in most situations. So we're going to talk about that in a second. My name is Diego Mendez. I'm a bankruptcy, loan modification, real estate lawyer here in Miami, Florida. I've been doing this kind of law for about 13 years, and I've seen a lot of different situations. What we're dealing with right now is completely unusual. The federal government has put their thumb on the scale to help a lot of people. I think it's a good thing in most situations, but particularly in this moratorium, which is very old at this point, which was enacted in March of 2020. It's still around. We're dealing with a situation where the CDC moratorium might be unconstitutional and might not have any real bite. So, again, if you like my videos, which I hope you do, and you would like more information about the stuff that I talk about here, I would like you to please not only like the video, but subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the notifications. Because if you turn on the notifications, then you'll get notified when I do a new video. And I do a lot of these videos, and I get into a lot of things that a lot of other people are not talking about, specifically involving the CARES Act, the different moratoriums, the forbearances, and what happens after forbearances for a lot of people. So please like and turn on the notifications when you subscribe, and I will be back in about 30 seconds to talk about the newest eviction moratorium. Thank you. So in order to understand what's going on with the moratorium right now, we need to go back to the beginning of when all this started. So in March of 2020, the government enacted the CARES Act under the Trump administration. That basically is a multifaceted act that was created to protect people who were in different situations involving the coronavirus. Now, that also gave the power to the CDC, which is part of the executive branch, which is part of the presidency, to enact basically a blanket protection for homeowners who are in foreclosure and also for tenants to avoid being displaced and putting out into the street during a pandemic. Now, there have been multiple extensions on the initial CDC eviction moratorium, which ended in July of this year, so a few days ago. Now, in the last few months, there's been a lot of challenges to the CDC moratorium because it seems like it's endless and it has no end. So people, different groups have challenged in court the constitutionality of the CDC because the CDC is not Congress, it's not the president, and it's not the Supreme Court. So who is the CDC to make these laws, basically, well, these rules that affect everybody in the United States? So the different groups representing landlords and some homeowners who have rental properties went out and took the issue to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court basically said that it does not think that the CDC has the right to do what it's doing. However, it didn't rule it unconstitutional at that moment. However, Justice Kavanaugh said that because the CDC eviction moratorium was going to end on July 31st, that he was not going to overturn it. They were not going to overturn it right then and there. But what has happened since then is that a new CDC moratorium has hit, and we are now in a situation that, again, it's automatically being challenged in court. On August 2nd, after 2 days after the initial CDC moratorium ended, the same group of people that sued, and probably others, have brought a new lawsuit and is going to the Supreme Court again to decide whether the CDC has the authority to do what it's done. Now, what the CDC has actually done is extended the moratorium until October 6th of this year, so about 2 months, giving people 60 more days to be in their homes and not be evicted. Now, I personally don't think that the CDC has the right to do this. I do believe at this point it is unconstitutional. However, I'm not on the Supreme Court and I'm not the one deciding this, but that's my personal opinion. Now, there is a huge, massive, giant loophole that exists in this CDC moratorium. It's a little hard to explain, but I'm just going to explain it to you in one way. If you had a lease in March of 2020, we are now in August of 2021. It's way over a year. Most leases are only 12 months. So at this point, the leases are they're not valid anymore. You are now in a month-to-month situation, especially if you're in Florida. Other states have different rules, but in Florida, which I think a lot of states follow this, at the end of the lease, all you get is another month. So if you're a tenant or you're a landlord and you have a tenant that basically is outside of the initial lease term and is on a month-to-month, I don't think the CDC applies, because you can evict them and you can be evicted because there's no lease. As long as you follow the other rules, the notification rules to the tenant about removing them after the end of the lease, saying that you're not going to renew the lease, then basically you can file an eviction against someone who is in a situation where there is no lease. Now, as long as you're not asking for rent, I think that the CDC new rules the new moratorium does not apply. Now, that's my personal opinion. I actually have a few cases now that I'm testing this issue because I represent people on both sides. I represent tenants and landlords. What bottom line for everybody is that if you are a tenant in a situation or a landlord, you might not have the protections that you think you have, because these the CDC moratorium only applies for back rent, and the government is trying to give money to landlords to pay back the back rent, but that doesn't give the tenant the right to extend the lease beyond the initial term. So a lot of people are going to be surprised that even if the landlords get the back rent, that they're still going to be evicted because the landlord either doesn't want you to stay in the property, or has decided to sell it, or has decided to do something else, and that's their right as the property owner to do that. So there's no right. The government cannot issue a decree that says that the landlord must keep you in the property even if after the lease term is over. So that's what we're dealing with in this situation, in my opinion. So I do think that, again, this moratorium is out there, but it's a bit of a red herring. I don't think it has the teeth that people think it has. I think that it will be shot down in the Supreme Court. That's my opinion, personal opinion. However, for now, for the next 2 months, some people are going to get protections from the moratorium, and they will not be evicted. Now, we're talking about tenants, something I normally don't talk about. I am going to do a video specifically on how there's other moratoriums, which I call ghost moratoriums, that protect homeowners. And I'm going to be doing that in the next couple of days. So watch. Again, if you subscribe to my channel and you hit the notification, you're going to get a notification when I do a video on the moratoriums that do exist for homeowners that are non-tenants. So until then, again, my name is Diego Mendez. I'm a loan modification, foreclosure, real estate lawyer here in Miami, Florida. I do real estate litigation. I do separate things. I am here to answer some questions if you have them. I've been doing this kind of law for a very long time, so I have experience. It's very direct experience in what we're talking about. So if you like my videos, please subscribe, turn on the notifications, and like them if you like them, of course. And I will be back in the next few days with more videos about different subjects that we're dealing with after coming out of the COVID financial nightmare. Thank you very much.